The priest is mourning the deceased, but suddenly, a shot is fired, and he falls down. A nearby bodyguard quickly pulls out his gun to defend, but before he can fire, another shot hits him in the chest. After swiftly killing the two, he hisses softly, signaling her to stay quiet. Without saying a word, the killer removes his mask and shoots the woman in the side. The freshly dug grave nearby becomes the final resting place for the victims. While the killer is dealing with the bodies, a girl nearby captures the scene with her camera, snapping several shots. Before the killer notices her, the girl takes off into the woods with her camera, hoping to find her uncle to call the police, but he is nowhere to be found in the car. Unexpectedly, as the girl searches for her uncle, she stumbles upon the killer, who strangely engages in conversation with him. Just as the girl returns, she witnesses the encounter. After the man dies, the killer immediately turns his gun on the girl. Just as he's about to pull the trigger, he notices the camera around her waist. The man in the farmhouse, seeing her in such distress, asks what's wrong, but before she can answer, she is shot in the ankle. Following the trajectory of the bullet, the killer is slowly approaching the house. Before the man can react, another shot is fired. Realizing the threat, the man retreats into the house, locks the door, and loads his gun with the only 2 bullets he has. As the killer rushes up the stairs, the man fires a shot. Though the shot hits the killer, it doesn't cause a fatal wound. Shaken by the event, the killer yells up to the man, offering to leave if he hands over the girl. The man, growing stubborn, refuses and states that he has the upper hand, being on higher ground. He threatens to blow the killer away if he tries to come up, which annoys the killer. After inspecting a spent shell, the killer realizes the man's gun has limited range. Mocking the man, he says the gun might be good for shooting birds, but not for people. "I got honey, buddy. You just try to come up the stairs again, okay? I will blow your fucking head clean off. I'm getting the police on the line right now." Hearing that the man is calling the police, the killer rushes to the kitchen and picks up the phone, only to discover it's broken. He then spots the man's cell phone in the corner. With the means of contacting the outside world now in his hands, the killer feels confident. He stops wasting words with the man and tends to his wounds. After finding 2 bottles of strong alcohol, he pours the entire contents over his wound to disinfect it. Once he's finished, he heats a knife over a lighter until it's red hot, then presses it against his wound, enduring the intense pain. Meanwhile, upstairs, the man instructs the girl to fetch 2 boxes of light bulbs and a towel. He wraps the bulbs in the towel, smashes them, and scatters the shards across the stairs to alert him if the killer tries to come up. This tactic enrages the killer, who, unable to storm the stairs, fires wildly in an attempt to provoke the man. After the second shot, the sound attracts a nearby patrolling officer, who follows the noise to the man's house. Even as the police car pulls up, the killer remains unfazed. He slowly puts on his mask and aims his gun at the door. When the officer knocks on the door, the killer fires a shot. Hearing a body fall, the killer steps outside to inspect his handiwork. Sure enough, a wounded officer lies at the doorstep. Just as the killer prepares to finish him off, the girl jumps from the 2nd floor in an attempt to escape. The killer fires multiple shots at the girl, but realizing he's out of bullets, he turns to the injured officer, who tries to retaliate but is overpowered. The killer then drives the police car to a nearby warehouse to prevent others from finding it, but on his way back, the man holds him at gunpoint. The man orders him to raise his hands and leave the house, threatening to blow his head off, but the killer remains calm. Gambling on his hunch, the killer bets that the man's gun, while powerful, has limited range and few bullets left. If the man misses even once, the next one to die would be him, so, the killer taunts the man to fire. The man hesitates for a few seconds, allowing the killer to draw his gun and force him back. He then ties up the injured officer in a chair, intending to use him as a hostage to force the man to give up the girl. The killer picks up a hammer and begins torturing the officer, breaking one of his fingers. After 4 brutal strikes, only the officer's thumb remains intact on his left hand. Hearing the officer's agonizing screams, the man and the girl upstairs feel guilty. The killer shoots the officer dead and shoves his corpse to the bottom of the stairs. When the man sees the officer's body, he is momentarily shocked. But after the officer's death, there is an eerie silence from the killer, which confuses him. After thinking it through, the man decides to go downstairs to investigate. To be safe, he first tells the girl to hide in the bathroom. As he moves the officer's body aside, he only finds the killer's boots. The man immediately realizes that the killer must have gone upstairs. After circling the house, he spots a ladder leading up to the second floor. The man climbs up the ladder and, without hesitation, fires a shot at the killer. Angered by the man's shot, the killer flies into a rage. He lights his lighter, preparing to burn the house down, but suddenly changes his mind, as if he's thought of a better plan. Later that night, a car approaches the house, its headlights illuminating the entire room. The killer glances outside but quickly relaxes, as he realizes his reinforcements have arrived. He dons his mask and steps outside to greet them. The reinforcement turns out to be the man's ex-wife. The killer had tricked her into coming using the man's phone, intending to use her as leverage to trade for the girl. Seeing his ex-wife in danger, the man starts to lose his composure. After some profanity-laced remarks, the man looks at the girl, clearly indicating that he has no choice. He hands her his shotgun and tells her to use it if necessary, then, without hesitation, pulls out a knife and walks downstairs, intending to trade himself for his ex-wife. But when the killer sees the man coming down, after a few curses, he removes his mask, unafraid of revealing his face, signaling that he plans to kill everyone. Before doing so, he decides to give the man one last lesson. Seeing this, the killer laughs maniacally, finally getting what he wanted after so much effort. But at that moment, the lights above flicker unexpectedly. Seizing the opportunity, the man rushes at the killer and stabs him repeatedly in the neck. Unfortunately, the man is shot in the side by the killer. Hearing the gunshot, the woman rushes outside, turns on the car headlights to illuminate the room, and calls the police. Meanwhile, the girl remains eerily calm. She picks up the shotgun and approaches the killer, determined to avenge her uncle. With a loud bang, the shotgun fires, but the killer laughs instead. He realizes that the shotgun was empty, and he had been fooled. Though the killer intended to shoot the girl, he lowers his gun in the end, realizing his own life is coming to an end. There's no point in more killing. More importantly, the man, despite being shot, miraculously survives.